everybody. Sorry about the late start. We're still waiting on the main man Todd Ferris wheel to come in and hop into this. Today we're going to be talking about Grey Knights and the problems with them as far as building a Warhammer 40k list goes. So I've been doing a little bit of research to kind of dive into this particular subject with him as soon as he gets here. So one of the nice things about the Grey Knights that I've been looking at is they have a lot of really cool things, but one of my favorites is this stratagem, this psychic power. Wrong mic again. This silly thing. Thank you very much. All right, so it didn't save my mic settings. Sorry about that. I have had a problem with my USB ports lately, where they are turning off and on again, and it keeps resetting my preferences as far as all that stuff goes. I do apologize, but thank you very much for the heads up. All right, so with that, let's go and switch this other thing over too, so we got all the proper stuff. All right, so we're going to be talking about Grey Knights, and the problem with um, the Grey Knight Army and why they're one of the least winning armies in Warhammer right now. But they do have some really cool things that I think we're going to try to see if we can shore up some of their issues and really put together a thank you very much a nice 2,000 point list and just kind of build something that if you do want to play Grey Knights is something that there we go. That's the one. All right. All right. So put up together a really nice list that can actually, get some work done. It might be a little more work than other lists, especially if you're used to playing something like Astra Militarum or sorry Imperial Guard. Um, but I've been looking over some of this stuff and kind of preparing for today, and it's been really interesting. So, the Grey Knights, for those of you who don't know, are these silver psychic knight demon slayers of the 40k world, and one of the fun things about them lore-wise is they're kind of like this small elite force that gets in, they get out, they clean up real quick. They're really cool as far as, and they're really kind of insane as far as being like they're kind of like the they're like the space marine version of the Inquisition a little bit. Like they don't go as far as having different ordos, like they focus mainly on killing demons and and bolstering themselves against the powers of the warp and all these or other sort of cool things. They're one of the few armies that have a super metallic paint job, and what's really interesting about them, I think, is they have also all of this heraldry and like the book with the sword through it. They have unique options that are specific to them, and I think done properly, they can be a very cool looking army. They do have this hilarious baby carrier mech with a guy who has armor inside of an armored thing, so it looks like he just ran and jumped into it and forgot to close the hatch. But that's one of the funnier things of the baby carrier for the Grey Knights. But I've gone over through Frontline Gaming and then kind of looking at some of the different options, including the Doomglaive Dreadnought. Dreadnought only they can take, which is a really cool one. He's got some really interesting powers and a kind of a unique sword, and he's one of the very few psychic things that you can take as far as that. And then, so the Warlord Overlord traits, they have some actually pretty neat ones. So if you're fighting certain armies, you can actually take different Warlord traits as you know when you're preparing to take your stuff. But one of the ones that I found was interesting was first into the fray. So you can re-roll failed charge rolls with your Warlord and friendly Grey Knights within 6 inches. So Grey Knights, notoriously one of their problems is they don't have great mobility. So with this, you can really get uh, your boys in and out of fights really quickly and really easily. Now, there's one for morale tests, which I don't think is really worth taking. I mean, the automatically pass is really nice, but you're not taking too many small units in the Grey Knights army. Just so there's not, and most of them have pretty decent morale, so I don't feel like that one. It's good and can be really used properly if you're going against certain armies, or if you have some that take it gives you negative to morales. Hammer of Righteousness, adding one to wound rolls with your Warlord is pretty excellent, especially since you can take the. Oh, sounds like we've got. There he is. What is going on, Todd? How you been?
Hello, hello, hello.
Your hair's looking redder than usual today. How was the sprint back from the gym?
Good.
Good. That's what I like to hear. I was just kind of going over some of the things that I had come across when I was looking over Grey Knights and Kind of some more interesting things like I was getting into the astral aim power next, which is the ability to basically be in cover and be able to shoot out of it and not taking any penalties for it, which I thought was really neat. So take advantage of ruins and like first floor stuff that completely blocks sight for everybody else, but you can just fire away from out of it. And so just kind of going over some of the unique things that I had kind of was discovering about Grey Knights as I was poking around getting ready for the episode. So we're gonna, like I said, I was telling everybody we're gonna try to build like a nice kind of 2,000 point list with. I mean, after the FAQ, the newest one, they did suffer a little bit, just because of the nerf of knights, which were a nice addition to Grey Knight armies. But I think we're gonna try to. No, we're gonna try to do one that's purely Grey Knight. Do you think we should do, or are we gonna have to do? Do you think we're gonna have to put some attachments in there to make it really viable?
I'm open to either one, but I
Okay.
got something here that I looked up in my research prior to this episode.
Yeah.
Let me send it to you.
All right. So he's gonna find that real quick and
You can bring it up if you want.
oh, perfect. Oh, did you send it on Facebook?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. So we'll just go and pop this up. All right. So the interview with Grey Knights, winner of Briskin? Really? It's not, the Grey Knights won an event. All right. So this is actually pretty interesting.
Pure
So
Grey Knights.
pure Grey Knights, which I am actually really a fan of. Oh, it's interesting. Wonder how close I did. It's not even close in what I put together. All right. I did take Drago and then a Grandmaster Nemesis armor and so a bunch of the Purifier squads. But let's see what he took. So he got a brother captain with a halberd and stormbolter as the warlord with the Gate of Infinity Hammerhand and Fury of Demos relic. And then interesting, he took the Gate of Infinity Hammerhand. Let's see what that does.
It's 2 spells.
Oh, it's the
Gate of Infinity
oh okay,
and
so we can
Hammerhand.
where he can redeploy. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
perfect. All
And
right,
whatever Hammerhand does. Boosts strength, right? That's what
Hammerhand.
it used to do.
Yeah, I believe so. And then Fury of Demos, is that his warlord? Or where's his warlord trait? Which one did he
That's a
take?
relic. The Warlord trait is the Lore Master, which I think gives him
Oh,
another
okay.
spell, but I could be wrong.
I thought doesn't Kaldor get the lore master automatically? So why
Well, he wants the extra spell on a different guy
makes
than
sense.
Drago.
All right, so and then he took Lord Kaldor Drago, who on the previous FAQ was one of the most the units who gained the most point drop. So you may probably played
Yeah,
into it
but
a little bit.
he was also allowed to have a 2-up invuln, and they made it so he can't anymore.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
Because there was a stratagem that gave your unit, I think it gives the entire unit +1 invuln. And then, but you could put it on Drago, and he has a 3-up invuln, so then you'd have a 2-up
Two up and
invuln.
one. That's pretty
Now it's
disgusting.
capped at a 3-up invuln,
I mean, I don't like anything
which
with
is
more.
still pretty damn
I was gonna
good,
say
but
3-up is ridiculous, but like anything with a 2-up invuln, I automatically put into the bullshit category. Oh,
that's
so
fair. That's
Uh,
fair.
and we should give credit. This is a list from Eric Lathuris from Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. He's 21 years old and has been playing for 8 years competitively for 7 of those years. So he knows what he's doing. So then he took some elites and apothecary with Astral Aim, the Paladin squad of 10 models that'll have Gate of Infinity so they can redeploy themselves, which is just a super cool trait in my opinion.
It's a nice spell, for
And then
sure.
for the silencers, which are the really great weapons, I think for their
D3 damage,
and they're so
bolter,
cheap.
basically.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
they're
they're like
cheap.
2 points more than a regular bolter.
There's also a stratagem that makes it. I think it's on the silencers, but it makes them 1 higher strength, 1 higher AP,
Oh,
and 1 higher damage. I think. I
even
think that
better.
works on the silencers.
And then two warding staff, 8 halberd, and then he took another squad of elites, a purifier squad of 10 models with vortex of doom and 10 falchion. That's pretty good. His outrider detachment, he had an HQ of Grandmaster Nemesis Dread Knight. Dread Knight. Heavy support, he took a Purgitation squad of 5 models with Sanctuary. And then he took 2 Land Raiders, both with twin las cannons, twin heavy bolter, and storm bolter. While I was looking at this, how do you think this list was probably run?
So this list doesn't have very many moving parts. And I think that's
It's kind of
kind
a
of
theme
kind
we're
of
seeing.
yeah. Well, this is kind of an interesting one because it seems like there's so little here.
Yeah.
But the the Purifier Squad is definitely so the Purifiers they have most Grey Knights when they smite they do one mortal wound and that's
Yeah.
it. The Purifiers their smite range is only 3 inches and it does D6 mortal wounds
Holy crap!
every time.
they got the
They have the super smite,
the ultra smite. That's pretty good.
the turbo smite. Uh,
The Magnus smite.
and also, they all have storm bolters, and Grey Knights has a stratagem for
Side bolts.
yeah, side bolts, where it's strength 5 minus 1 AP and 2 damage each. So that unit, they can gate of infinity and then do 40 strength 5, basically 40 heavy bolter shots that do 2 damage, which is that's pretty disgusting.
That's pretty good. And then they
That'll tear
can.
something a new butthole for sure.
That's pretty good. And then they have their smite, so they can just. Oh
Yeah,
god.
if they manage to make a charge or whatever, because I mean it's kind of hard to get within 3 inches
Yeah. They'll force into
unless
the fray.
you put them in the Land Raider, and then
True.
you Gate of Infinity the Land Raider, and then the next turn you get out and you just walk up.
Oh man, that is
And I think that
disgusting.
that might be something that was done.
Oh, that makes sense. Put the Purifier squad in one, and put the Paladin squad in the other.
I don't know that the Paladins fit inside,
Oh, that
but
makes sense. Yeah.
they might.
Now, where does
I'm
the
not sure how the Land
apothecary fit
Raiders
into all
work.
this? Is
He
it?
just brings back a Paladin, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, perfect. That makes sense.
That's the plan at least.
Yeah, I guess the Paladins are worth bringing somebody to bring him back.
Yeah, the Paladins don't fit inside the Land Raider. So the Land Raider just held the Naked Purgation Squad and I think the Purifier Squad.
Okay.
You could also put the characters inside the Land Raider that has the Purgation Squad if you felt like it.
Makes
And I
sense.
think that the Paladins just stand there and they can shoot a crap ton of shots at 40 inches because of the bolter drill rule,
Yeah, and
and
then
they're Terminators, so they get to rapid fire all the time.
and you can use the apothecary to cast astral aim on them.
If that's the thing that you need to astral aim.
I like
And
the
I mean,
amount
you
of
can't
things
hide
that
from
take
it.
it.
It's a shit ton of shots.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
And then the Paladins, you can cast Sanctuary on the Paladins, and
Yeah.
then they are a 4-up invuln, and then you can use the stratagem, and then they're a 3-up invuln. So you've got a unit of 10 guys. I believe they're 3 wounds each. And they might not be, but I'm gonna check right
Still,
now. I think they are.
I will say I really
They
like
are
this
3
list.
wounds each. So yeah, that's you can have an entire unit of 3 wound guys that have a 3-up invuln.
Damn.
Disgusting, right? Like
That's pretty gross.
that's not bad at all.
This does feel like one of those armies when things are going right, they just will continue to go right, but when they start to go wrong.
No, yeah, I can agree with that. Well, I especially think that this list can high roll like super hard because you could potentially have the moment where you sanctuary your paladins, you Gate of Infinity your paladins, they blow up an entire unit with their shooting, and then they assault something and absolutely murder it.
Oh god, yeah.
Because what with Hammerhand, and he took falchions on all of them.
Yeah.
Is Hammerhand +2 strength? I'm gonna check.
Hammerhand. Let me pull it up here.
It used to be +2 strength in the last edition. Oh, add 1 to wound rolls.
Oh.
Disgusting. That's way
That's-
better.
That's a million times better.
Yeah, so they're all strength 5, and they have +1 to their wound rolls, and they do D3 damage each. Ugh.
And you got your brother captain in the middle of them, probably giving him some good aura.
Yeah, well, if you can get him there, because if you Gate of Infinity them forward there.
He has his own Gate of Infinity.
Well, you can't Gate of Infinity twice.
Oh,
It's
you
against
can't?
the rules.
Oh, okay. Damn,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, you can only cast each spell once, otherwise I'd cast 6 warp times per turn.
That makes sense.
I don't think that's a world that anybody wants to live in, except
No.
for me.
Yeah.
And
No, just
I'd
you.
take a bunch of Red Corsairs Contemptors that just run and then warp time and then run and then charge and ooh, it'd be a grand old time. That'd be
Oh.
fun. That'd be fun. Leviathans too, that run and then
Disgusting.
charge and then run and then charge. Yeah.
Oh no, 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 none of that.
Oh yes, please.
Oh man. So, with using a vanguard and an outrider detachment, was this to get? Why do you think he split it up that way?
Well, he only wanted elites and heavy supports. He
That
didn't
makes
want to
sense.
take any troops.
It didn't.
So that's actually that's the only reason why the purgation squad is a purgation squad, is so that it can be a
Heavy support. Okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
That's funny. Oh my god, it's kind of it reminds me vaguely of the chaos list that we were looking at. You know, with no fluff, no little guys brought along.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that list would 100% body this one, but
What?
but it's hard to say. Also, the meta is this is from a tournament in Australia,
Hmm.
and like I don't want to diss any Australians that are out there, but the Australian meta is very different than the meta here in the United States. They play under a different rule set, the ETC rule set. I don't know how that's different than ITC, but I know that it is different. And I also know that Australian models are approximately 60% more expensive than
Yeah,
American models.
I've heard that complaint a lot. You know, it's really funny. I was just reading the reason why he chose Grey Knights is because he posted on a Facebook page, Godhammer Gaming, and saying, "What should I play next?" And they chose Grey Knights for him. They do
Yeah,
not like
I
him.
mean, that's what's gonna happen if you ask what you should play, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Speaking of, I might play Grey Knights. I think that they're
dude.
awesome.
I'm actually getting really excited about them. I'm not even lying. Like all these things I'm reading about, like that seems really cool. That seems like really fun. I mean, like, and like the fact that they're kind of a little more of a straightforward army of like this is gonna work or it's not, but you have a lot of options as far as it seems like your positioning. They have a lot of repositioning things, so you can get out of a lot of situations if
Yeah.
you truly screw it up. And
Well, you kind of have to because you have
yeah,
so few models. They have to have something where they can move their guys. Otherwise,
yeah, you're gonna
you're
get
not gonna get you're gonna get even less done than you were already gonna get done.
true. And then so for a movement phase, those 3 inch smiters. Now, if you're in a fight phase, can you use your movement to disengage? If you disengage, can you charge back in?
No,
That's no, right? Okay.
no.
I say disengage, smite, and just wait for him.
Just to be clear, I was wrong about the. It does. You can only do the +1 invuln on a character.
Oh, okay, that makes
So
sense.
you can't have a 3-up unit of paladins. The best they can have is a 4-up, which is still pretty
Still really
good.
good, yeah.
But then like you're kind of getting into the territory of questionability as far as like how insane they are, because like if you have a 4-up invuln, then you have the same invuln as a Blight Lord Terminator,
Yeah, which
and
you do.
you
You
don't have
can.
Feel No Pain, and you
Mm,
don't have Toughness 5, and you don't have Veterans of the Long War. I mean, you kind of have Veterans because Hammerhand is kind of
yeah,
Veterans of the Long War,
true.
but it's not. I mean, it doesn't work on their shooting.
That's actually very true. Man, well, still pretty
No, I
cool.
still
Oh,
think it's sick,
uh,
but like
just curious. When I was reading about, what do you think of the Doomglaive Dreadnought? The Grey Knight specific Dreadnought. Have you seen anything about this?
the Doomglaive Dreadnought.
Yeah, it's a Grey
Is
Knight
this just a
specific.
name that they put on the guy, the Dreadnought that has the?
The baby carrier? No, this is an actual Dreadnought with like
No,
the.
no, I know it's a Dreadnought, but it's got like a halberd. It's kind of like a Blood Angels Librarian Dreadnought, except for it's a Grey Knight Dreadnought, I think.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, this thing's cool.
I know, right? Like, it's got the little Grey Knight helmet on him. He's got a giant off sword in one hand, which is pretty cool, and then his other arm is just a gun.
Do they still sell the model?
I believe so. I believe it's on Forge World.
I know that it's a Forge World model. I just don't know if they even sell that anymore.
I would.
Because they discontinued a lot of that stuff. Like you can't
Oh,
buy
really?
Sonic Dreadnoughts or anything like that.
Oh, the Sonic Dreadlocks look so cool.
Oh, I can't even go on Forge World. It's down for maintenance.
Oh, well, we'll assume it's still up for sale.
It looks cool. I like him. He's cute.
Right? And then I think it's just so. So did you have a chance to put together like kind of a list or things that you thought were kind of neat that you think would be kind of essential that goes beyond this
I was
was put
coming
together by
in.
Eric?
I was coming in pretty raw here. I
That's fair.
think that the paladins. I think the paladins are sick. I would put them in my list because I think they're sick.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm intrigued by the prospect of the Vortimer pattern Razorback, and I haven't seen anybody use it a single time in my entire career. I know that it was insane in 5th edition.
Yeah,
It's a Razorback with 2 Psy cannons on it, and that was like disgusting back
mm,
then.
that is
Uh,
pretty damn good. It still sounds pretty good. Like
it's 122 points,
that's not that bad for a
but heavy 8, strength 7, -1 damage on its gun.
damn. And you can put troops in it, right?
Yeah, you can put 6 boys inside. Not Terminators though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like,
Or Jump Pack.
well, no, you can still get your regular troops in there with the their what's it called? Like their psi blaster things, silencers.
Silencers. Yeah, that you
For
could
those
put
who
a
don't
bunch
know,
of
it's spelled with a P at the beginning, and that's what makes the silencers super funny and super lame, but also amazing. Like B movie lame, where it's like that's fantastically bad like, for me.
I think it's appropriate as hell, dude.
Oh yeah, for the Grey Knights, that's kind of like the Grey Knights thing is taking everything just a little bit too far, almost to the point of being of like entertaining. But like you can like laugh at entertaining, but not like it'd be impossible. It's close to impossible for me to take some of this shit seriously, including the baby carrier. It's like a guy forgot to close. There, where did you get
I
it?
think it's so close to being very cool.
No.
Like if it was just an enclosed chassis
Yeah,
instead, then it would be like really awesome. Like if they put like kind of like the robots in Avatar,
yeah, yeah. If it just
kind of like
closed.
kind of yeah, kind of like that. It would be sick. But it isn't that. It just isn't.
Yeah, it looks like well, one, he's wearing armor while piloting a mech. Like, what is he just gonna be like? Fuck it. Like, if there was a rule that he could bail and just be on the fucking, like, or like something that made it less, just like that's a baby
That was a lot
carrier.
of people's complaint about the Centurions when they came out
Oh yeah.
as well, because their lore is you get in your power armor and then you get in the Centurion armor, and people are like, why don't they just get into the Centurion armor?
I mean, they're like, listen, power armor, we've made it lore invaluable, so now we're gonna put it in fucking everything. Oh man.
Also, they wrote some like edgy stuff about like you have to be pure of heart to operate the Centurion Devastator armor, otherwise you'll be consumed by the machine spirit's bloodlust.
Oh my
It's like,
god.
all right, this is
Cool.
grim dark, I guess.
No, it really
Cool.
it's actually on the very border because it's like grim dark, but also like medieval cursed weapon, exact same fucking thing. Like, so like it's like kind of Arthurian almost in its lore.
Well, the Grey Knights specifically have that same stuff because
It's true.
Castellan Crow, he has a demon weapon, but he just carries it around and hits people with it. He doesn't use any of
He
its
doesn't
powers.
unsheath it even. No, just
Yeah, basically, it's like a
he's like, I know what this does, and I don't need what it does to whoop your ass. That's pretty. That's like it's like carrying
yeah.
around a shotgun and then just clubbing people with it.
I don't even need it. I don't even need it. There's also a
Did you make
Vortimer
nunchucks out of
pattern.
guns? It's more powerful this way in my hands. I don't think.
There's also a
Uh,
Vortimer pattern Land Raider Redeemer,
oh damn,
and it has the flamers on the side, and then the Psy Cannon as the heavy bolter,
damn, dude.
which is pretty neato burrito. I don't know that it's good. I
It's.
mean, I'm quite confident that it's bad.
I was gonna say it sounds interesting at the very least. So one thing I was reading about one of the characters that I was reading on Frontline, they said that Vord was somebody you should definitely almost always take because he's just super good. With
Ooh,
his hold on, let me pull it up here. Uh,
Voldus? Are we talking about
Voldus,
Voldus? The
yeah,
moldy Voldy?
old moldy Voldy. Let me get to the right page here. Do. So yeah, they were saying that. Oh, it is. Hold on, I'll find it soon. Here we go. Yeah, Voldis. Even though he lacks first into the fray, the reroll on charges, which is I think really good, and that's why I was gonna take somebody else and make them my warlord. But they said he's a grandmaster and a librarian for like super low points and brings serious psychic might. And like I was looking at it, it does seem like a pretty valuable, kind of good option for a lower point army list if you're bringing,
Moldy Colby.
a more traditional list than the amazingness that was put together by Eric.
Wow, he casts 3 spells.
Yeah, and he's super cheap too. Look at his points. He's like 118, I think.
153.
150. I was so close.
He has a Thunderhammer, though. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
All right, here we go.
No, like I like him. The problem that I have with him is kind of like what you were saying already, though. He is a very good psyker, right? But when are you going to have to cast 3 spells? There's only 6
Uh,
spells. And Smite sucks for Grey Knights because it only does 1 mortal wound. So like you are you even going to bother to cast Smite? So you only need the ability to cast 6 powers. So do you really need Voldus? I mean, is he
true.
going to cast half the spells himself and then
Well,
like
he does give you a lot of options though. Like as far as if you're planning on taking certain spells, like you don't have to invest in any more, psychers, and you can, so that way a lot of your other psychers can focus on their, giving him astral aim or hammer hand. I think it's one of those. He could be a great like warlord as far as support and everything goes. One thing I would have added just because I have some Storm Raven gunships. I think are a really good option because they can help solve some of the get across the board, and you can add just load one of them up with a bunch of firepower, and then be able to help with the kind of the hordes or the horde problem, and then or you can put las cannons on one, so that way you can deal with you know the knight or the boys, the hordes or the hulks problem that we were talking about when you're building a list so I was thinking about that, and so I was thinking about adding some of the missile launchers, and then like the hurricane, yeah, the typhoon missile launchers
right?
and stuff on that. So to help kind of with that sort of thing.
And you can have 2 hurricane bolters on it, so that's
Yeah,
you can shoot 24 shots out of it and you can use the Bolt ammo stratagem so that
yeah.
it's 24, but that's less than 40.
It is less than 40. That's why you bring two of them.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, you probably just want to use the stratagem on your guys that
Oh
you
yeah,
already
yeah,
have because you can only use the stratagem on one thing per turn. So
yeah. Well, I guess that is true, but I was trying to think of a nice way to, because after playing salamanders now, whenever I think imperial, I think, how am I getting where I'm going? Which I think the using the land raiders is an interesting option, and I kind of like that. And also with the warp gate, it'll be fun. Like I figured with the storm ravens, you could use warp gate and then drop off whoever else you needed to get there. And because you couldn't warp them in, and so you can just kind of have a nice super mobile force, was my thought, to make it so basically you can get in and out and then destroy as you go. And I also took some strike squads to kind of like sit on objectives and stuff like that, with their silencers.
silencer.
Yeah, I think I was only up to
Uh,
1904 points before I ran out of time, and it was so there's probably a few extra things I could add, but this was kind of what I put together. I did bring the Nemesis Dreadnought, or Dread Knight, because he's a knight, damn it. Just because I think he'd be fun and really hard to kill and everything like that, because he's got some decent ass stats.
some decent ass stats.
Yeah, them old ass stats.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I think it'd be interesting to kind of have like a bunch of kind of like two almost separate forces, one kicking around with the Dread Knight, until he and then one, and then just two another like super mobile like strike team going in and killing shit, and then using astral aim to get get whoever you couldn't see too well from your less mobile people. Yeah, because the Nemesis Dread Knight has he has a 2 up or a 5 up, 2 up save and a 5 up invuln.
Hmm.
So like, and it's he's not going to do like a whole ton of stuff, but he's a good distraction Carnifex in my from what I was thinking. So that would give my Grandmaster and Nemesis Dread Knight, give him a little time not to be destroyed automatically. So that's kind of what I was thinking of as far as when I was reading through the Grey Knight tactics and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so
I like the Dread Knight. I think it's cool, and I think that it's cool that it can go up to a 3-up invuln with Sanctuary and then the Darkest Hour or whatever it's called.
yeah, because you can cast it on because he's a character.
Yeah. What I'm thinking would be pretty cool though is to take as many of the Vortimer pattern Razorbacks as we can
Replace the gunships with the Razorbacks.
and just shoot people with a crap ton of Psy cannons.
That's fair.
Put Purifier squads inside
Inside of
the
the
yeah,
Razorbacks.
inside the Razorbacks, and then drive up, and then just get out and try to smite people with the D6 damage smites.
Yeah. Holy crap. How many smites does each squad get?
One,
Okay, yeah, that's still pretty
but it
damn
does
good.
D6
D6
damage.
damage. You just pop out. What the fuck? Oh, they're each in 5-man squads, so that way I can do this 4 times. 20 damage!
The thing that sucks is you can only take 3 units because
Yeah,
of the rule of three.
makes sense. Yeah, you
But
take
then, but
potentially 18 wounds or 3.
but then like they have storm bolters, so like they
True.
don't suck as long as they're close. They do a lot of shots.
Yeah.
I mean, each 5-man unit does 20 shots, and they do what 10, 12 close combat attacks that are decent.
Wow. Yeah, and especially, would you give them
They do
the
D3 damage. The
what was it?
Falchion
Falchion?
double
Yeah.
their attacks. Yeah,
Yeah. Those Falchion are just so cool looking, too.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's actually an interesting take on it as well. Um, dang it! Now I can't believe just doing this got me excited for Grey Knights. Like they're kind of neat. I kind of am starting to dig them. Like they're like they're the most losinest one in the game, but I'm like, yeah, I could try that. Mm. Oh man,
Dude, I want to take a Doomglaive Dreadnought just because it looks cool.
they do look pretty cool.
Plus, his name is Doomglaive.
Doomglaive.
How are you not going to be scared of that?
This is my Doomglaive. Be afraid. And everybody's laughing while you're playing Grey Knights, and all of a sudden you whip out all of this super like useful stuff, and you're like, what's going on? What you doing? Yeah, so I think they're definitely not like they don't have a lot of obvious synergy. I think would be one of the problems with the army, but I think you can definitely force some in. Did you try to microwave that? Okay, good.
I think they have good stratagems with the Cybolt ammo and the thing that buffs the Psy weapons as
Yeah,
well.
it's
I think that those
interesting.
stratagems are really strong.
Like part of me looking at it was almost like I feel like there's almost something missing here, and I'd have to like play it on the table to figure out what the actual problem with them is, because I feel like it's just I feel like the main problem is you have it was is point cost, but they got a huge point cost reduction in the last FAQ. Because granted, you're gonna have much less dudes on the table, but I don't know. I feel like you could still make a decently viable army as long as it was a reasonable point cost. I think once you get into the higher point cost games, I think is where they really probably suffer from their major points problem. But I think for like a 2,000 point game, or it would probably be a really fun little force to play because one, nobody's going to know what you're doing because no one plays Grey Knights, and so but having all of that psychic power and all that funness to just kind of mess around with, I think could be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, just curious, were you playing you weren't playing in 5th edition when they were supposedly the bee's knees, were you?
No. But I've heard many horror stories.
Yeah, it's really funny that like they're in such a weird position now that and maybe that's one of the reasons Games Workshop is being really careful with them and trying to fine tune them, is they don't want people to be like, "Ma fucking Games Workshop jerking off the Grey Knights again." Like Of course, Games Workshop has been shown to care what people think.
All right, here's the list that I cooked up.
All right, what do you got for us?
So I've got. Oh crap! All right, it doesn't matter. I've got the Grandmaster in Baby Carrier.
Yeah,
And okay, so it's Vanguard, the
yeah,
Grandmaster and Baby Carrier, Apothecary, the 10-man Paladin squad,
yeah,
a 10-man Purifier squad,
yeah.
and they're in a Rhino.
Okay.
And then I have a Spearhead that has Lord Kaldor Drago,
Drago.
3 units of Purgation squads that are maxed out on silencers. So I got 12 silencers there.
Good God.
And then those guys will ride around in 3 Vortimer pattern Razorbacks. So I got the sigh out the butt here. We're shooting
It's just
what?
just a side delivery service while the Razorbacks and everybody shoot until they can just, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
shot the shit out of you. What's up? Time for the psychic phase. Chop you to bits. you know?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, I like it. It's kind of weird that a lot of their units, like they feel like really solid all around units, but like nothing like, but
But then it's like, wait, this is bad.
it's like
It's just
it's
like,
one of those like this should be great. Then you start looking at your points, you're like, I have nothing. Like,
yeah, yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. That's why I'm kind of thinking that like maybe even just like all strike squads in rhinos would actually be like good because then you just rely on like the bread and butter
yeah,
happening where your guys are like good, they're good enough in an assault and they're good enough at shooting, and then you're just kind of like
yeah. Use
you're,
the
you're
good
hoping to
enough.
like skirt by on just like being around, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like we're getting there. You know, you'll shoot and people be like, "All right, you
The
did some
death by a
damage." And then
thousand cuts.
and then you'll charge and people be like, "All right, you did some damage." And then it's like, "Wait, I took some damage. What the hell?" You know what I mean? It's like, "Ooh, that was not very impressive. Ooh, that was not very impressive." But then when you add it together, it's like, it's pretty decent.
And then you get some ridiculous smites off, and they're like, "That's broken."
Yeah. D6 damage on your smite? What? What?
it's all it, like all great knights, has a small range but very powerful.
But very powerful.
If I could imagine some poor bastard out there probably got like maxed out by this shit, and like, how'd you get beat by Grey Knights? They did 18 damage in 3 smites. I just died. I just kept dying. Like,
There's 16 psi cannons in this list, so 16 times 6, that's a lot of psi cannons.
that's a lot of damage.
That's 96 psi cannon shots.
Good God, man. 90.
Plus the what was it? 21 psi cannon shots. I meant to say silencer before.
Oh, okay.
Silencer
I was gonna
shots.
say that sounds
And
much more
21
reasonable.
psi cannon shots.
That's pretty friggin' good.
And then the storm bolters on the boys. So
Damn,
you
dude.
got 40 storm bolters from the purgation or the purifier squad, and then you got 40. They're not 40 because there's some silencers in there.
Yeah.
You got what, 6 times 4, 24 shots from the paladins.
Damn, dude.
That's like actually a lot of shots.
Yeah, that's actually getting into pretty good territory.
And then they can charge, and they do like the paladins have 3 attacks each. They're pretty disgusting, actually.
Man, like they give bloodletters a run for their money, and they have more wounds.
Yeah, if you use Hammerhand on them, and then they're
hmm
+1 to wound, and then they charge something that's toughness 4, and they're wounding on 2s, and they got 3 attacks each, they're gonna tear it a new bunghole.
Damn, dude. Hey, with knights not being able to, 2-up invuln, this is gonna be fun. So what I'm hearing is next event I'm gonna see a big Grey Knight list army coming from you. Is that what's
I
happening?
might I might play Grey Knight Army. I
Oh,
think
dude,
that it would be very cool.
dude, and
I've
not only
always
that,
loved Grey
uh,
Knights. I love how they look. I think it would be really fun to use like all of the unique stuff, like the Vortimers and
oh
like a
yeah,
shit ton of Psy cannons and stuff like that. I think that would be a tight army.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do a Grey Knight episode with you, because I think the design of the Grey Knights is kind of unique in the Warhammer universe, where it is has this really nice throwback to like just actual knights in armor, and like their whole like gleaming armor and silver, and like just kind of fun to look at. And I know a lot of people actually steal the Grey Knight heads and just put them on other things because they're kind of
Yeah,
super
because
cool
they
looking.
look sick.
Yeah. Now, would you do like the classic silver paint scheme if you were to paint them, or would you kind of do like white with silver, or what would you think to do with them? Gold them up,
Probably paint them gray.
gray, just pure gray, matte gray,
No, I like the. I mean, I
the
have a few
silver.
Grey Knights on my shelf here that somebody else
Oh, nice.
painted, and it's. I mean, like
It's
they
just
don't seem like they're that tough to.
oh, nice. You already have a baby carrier,
Yeah, it's a baby carrier.
and it's
Its sword
painted.
is broke.
Oh
I
no.
mean, it's gray, that's for sure.
Uh, Seems like I brought this up just in time. Well, nice. So,
I think it'd be. I think it'd be fun to play with. I think that like playing that big Death Star of Paladins would be fun for anyone,
oh
even
man.
I think that you might have some times where somebody has their lame ass Castellan and they one shot all your paladins, and then you're like, why did I even show up? But I think that besides that, you're gonna have a lot of fun with it if you wanted to use it.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think last time you brought Magnus and Morty, I think that everybody's like, of course. This time you show up next time with Grey Knights, you be like, I heard everybody complaining, so this is to prove a point.
to be clear, I think that this list that this guy brought would dunk on that Primarch list. It
Oh
would
yeah.
dunk on it. It would be like, what the hell? My guys are dead. Because it's just a
I guess
crap ton-
two.
like all of that, all of the bolter fire,
Yeah.
it'll just do it. Like I mean, it wounds on fives, but like who cares? You got a crap ton of shots, and the psi cannons doing multiple damage,
True.
it'll get it done. It'll get the job done. You don't need to go through the armor save. Who cares? Let them take the saves. You got a billion shots. That's the whole point.
True. And you can, if they try to hide, just astral aim. I know where you're at, bitch.
Plus, yeah,
Well,
plus paladins.
I
If
think
paladins make a charge with
oh
hammerhand, they're
god.
gonna annihilate something. That's a ton of damage.
Oh man, that's gonna be fun as hell to watch. So, would you do the list you built, or would you kind of consider more of the Eric list and kind of go with the fun stuff he's put together, or kind of like do a mashup between the two?
Well, I mean, I'd rather go with like the Vortimers and everything,
Yeah,
but I think it'd be easier to get like a couple of land raiders and stuff because that takes a lot of points.
that's
So as
true.
far as like putting the list together quickly, it would be that way.
Nice.
Well, but also I mean, like it's not hard to put together at all because the 10 paladins is 500 points of your 2,000 point army. So
It's true.
it doesn't take that long.
you just bring three of those and some HQ.
And some of these, and
Just-
some of these.
oh man, hell yeah.
I
So,
thought that there was a I thought that there was a paladin apothecary.
I think
Is
it's
that
just
like not a thing anymore?
I think it's just apothecary.
Is the apothecary a Terminator? Oh, I guess that
Uh,
makes sense. Yeah, it is. Never mind. I was like, why would the Grey Knights just have a normal apothecary? But I guess they don't. So
they
that
don't. They put him in some shit.
well, I mean, Grey Knights were always famous slash infamous for having Terminators as troops, where it's just like because I remember my buddy, right? He gets some Grey Knights, and then I was like, "Where are your troops? You don't have any troops." And he's like, "The Terminators are the troops." And I was like, "What?"
Are
Now,
you
of course,
kidding? I had to bring
everybody
cultists. What the fuck?
now everybody can just take a Terminator army if they want. But it was a bigger deal because it used to be that only troops scored, so having your Terminators as troops was actually mattered. Now it
That's
doesn't
true.
matter anymore.
So
Nobody gives a crap about what's troops and what's not, except for to get command points.
yeah, it's kind of weird that the we're seeing lists that just forego troops entirely, and it doesn't seem like they're too good at sitting in objectives. But it doesn't matter because they just wipe the other team off the board.
Or they just kill them off the objective, and then they can
That's
have
true.
one of whatever the hell they have stand on the objective.
Oh yeah, just so long as you've killed everything else standing on an objective, you've won the objectives war. That makes sense.
What's the difference between a Terminator, a Grey Knight Terminator, and a Grey Knight Paladin as far as like the model goes?
As far as the model goes, I think the paladins have different arm options. Was really what I could all I could figure out. And I think they have like a fancier back thing.
I can't tell the difference.
Let's take a look.
Because it used to be that you could, like, the banner and the apothecary were part of the unit, and then it was like, oh, that one's the paladins because they have the banner and the apothecary inside the unit.
Oh, there you go.
But that's not how it is anymore, because the banner and the apothecary are separate units.
Oh, weird. Okay, let's see paladins. Interesting. It's paladins. Well, that's down for maintenance. So the Games Workshop one is down for maintenance too.
Yeah.
That's...
Rip. We'll never know.
They just had to go down on our freaking.
You know, they did this just to spite us.
Right? They're like, they're becoming too powerful.
These guys want to look at Grey Knights, stuff that we never sell. Let's make sure that they can't.
Well, wait, we're discontinuing Grey Knights. Stop it.
Hey, quit it.
Oh man, but yeah, I think what would you say are the weaknesses of Grey Knights as you're kind of looking at them, other than
they don't have any guys? If they get smited, they die, and
Okay.
it's very sad.
Yeah, so
Because
anything
they're
that
very
does
expensive per model, and then so if you take a smite, it's like you lost 100 points, and that's pretty shitty. Same problems that Harlequins have, except for Harlequins are actually fast.
yeah.
I think that Grey Knights basically suck if your opponent denies your psychic powers. It's like, why am I even playing the game?
That makes sense.
They don't have a lot of stuff that cracks tanks very well. I think that's why our buddy was taken to Land Raiders, so he just has las cannons. Low model count, which I already said.
So
The guys that
Go
the
ahead.
guys that aren't in Terminator armor are not durable. They just die, and they're very expensive. So them dying is bad. It's quite bad.
So
I think that's it.
okay.
Just those 7 problems.
So just these things keeping them down. But it seems like you can build a way around it and win some events with it. And seems like they're good. They're fun models at least to
Yeah.
build and paint. They have a unique look and paint scheme, and so I'd actually say if you were looking at to play Grey Knights yourself, just do a little research before diving right in, like and kind of see what other people are doing with them. But they do seem actually like still not. They are technically, yes, the worst, but I think they won't have to be the worst in the game, the worst in the games that you're playing. If you just do something a little unexpected and kind of think about outside the box instead of just putting together a battalion. Take a look at some of your heavier options since you won't really need troops that much. It seems like anyway, and very few stratagems you'll be using, so you don't have to worry too much about command points. So just as long as you can pull the effectiveness out of the points that you're using, I think Grey Knights could still be a perfectly viable option. What do you think, Todd?
I think that if you have a commitment to having fun with something that is dank, then you'll have a good time. But there's obviously stuff that'll just dumpster them, and that's like, I think that's kind of unavoidable.
True. It's like there are just certain army, and that'll hopefully change over time. Armies' strengths wax and wane. Like, Knights got a big nerf, and hopefully, we'll see something that'll bring the Grey Knights a little bit back up to not their former ridiculously overpoweredness, but just a little bit up into more of a more even ground with a lot of the other armies that we have out there. Now, I know this is one of the
The
armies, though.
models are so freaking cool.
They're so freaking cool. And as far as difficulty to paint, probably a less difficult to paint army because it's mostly silver.
It's just a bit harder than Necrons.
Yep. So this is if you're looking for a beginning paint job but advanced tactics, Gray Knights, one's for you. All right, so with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Gray Knights. I know it was actually fun to do a little bit of research and find out, get excited about Grey Knights, which is a weird thing to do because I've just been like, fucking Grey Knights, how are we going to solve this problem? Oh, cool, cool. This is really cool. That was me all day today.
There's definitely cool stuff.
All right, so with that, I'm Hitchhiker to Mind. It's Ferris Will. Any last thoughts for the people, Ferris?
Thanks for watching my show. If you want to have us talk about something, please tweet at Hitch. If you have something to say, positive or negative, please tweet at Hitch. If you watched the show at all, please just tweet at Hitch and say so. That would be pretty cool of you to do.
Yep, and so as you see, tweet at me for pretty much anything. I like getting tweets, and then so all that information up here. I'm just at Hitchhiker Mind on Twitter. You can always check out old episodes on on the YouTube channel. Also, just YouTube/Hitchhiker the Mind.
The
And
episodes are still good.
they're still good. Yeah, yeah. We haven't
Yeah.
gotten to another edition or anything that'll totally screw over everything we'd said. So,
No, those,
yeah.
those episodes still have good information.
Yeah, yeah, and like we do have a list building army. If you're looking to dive into the hobby, we've got a lot of different, like especially for beginners or for if you can't figure out why your army is not working. A lot of advice on that sort of thing. I know me as a
And you can also
player.
tweet
Yeah,
at us.
we can
If your
always
army
do.
doesn't work,
True.
I can help you. I definitely can.
Trust me, he helped me a lot. I went from losing every single game that I ever played until the last tournament I played. If I would have gotten to finish it, I think I actually would have placed top 5. If I had to guess, there's like 12 people there.
Oh
But
yeah,
oh
top
yeah.
5. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I did win against I won while playing Chaos against Astra Militarum, which was good. That was before their big nerf, so lots of
Yeah.
tanks. World of tanks. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in to 40K Thursday. We'll be back next week and every week at 7:30 here on the Twitch channel. And other than that, you guys have a wonderful day, and go paint the models that you haven't painted yet. He
Peace.
said definitely more to himself than anybody else. All right, peace.